HCS is presented by Astro Gaming and AMD.
Hello Halo fans, welcome back here to the HCS Pro Series week number 4. We are getting ready for our grand final here. It's been a long night for us. It's been a long couple of weeks as well for us to start to get towards this great crescendo that we've got here. I've got Hoots and I've got SSJ4 behind me as well. Justin, why do you look
I got a surprise, boys.
What?
Green shirt.
Oh shit! Let's go!
Let's go, boys. Green shirts all around.
Green shirts to the grand final.
Uniform, baby.
Hell
I'm ready
yeah.
for the grand finals. I've been holding that one in the closet for quite a while, but now I'm ready. I'm loosey-goosey, fresh shirt. Let's get it.
Hell yeah, I'm excited for that. I looked at you when we came back and I was like trying to do my intro the whole time and I'm just like, why does Justin look weird? Like, he looks weird to me. And then alright, it looks like the reveal. Alright, I like that. So we've got the uniform.
So it looked like you were wearing like an apron or something. It was bizarre.
Either way, let's jump into this bracket, lads. This is how we've gotten here. Grand final time between the Chiefs and Divine Mind. It's been relatively big 2-0s throughout the entirety of today. I think there's a few things we've got to touch on before we start getting into this grand final, lads. Demons, the 2-1 against BBR. 2-1 for the Death Raptor fans over Immunity. And now it's just been kind of a run and a storyline for these Demon lads. And as we have a quick look at the elimination bracket as well, it was a whole lot of storylines that kind of came to the end down there as well. BBR were able to take down Immunity, and unfortunately they lost to Divine Minds, and even the Direwolves made a little bit of a run through that elimination bracket and got themselves a top 4 finish for today. But this is where we expected ourselves to be, boys. This is what we expected our grand final to be. Hoots, it's been, what, 3 out of the 4 Pro Series Grand Finals that we've seen so far, and the fact that we've seen these guys in the Grand Final so many times against each other just goes to show that how consistent these players are and how, I guess, kind of solidified this top 2 is between the Chiefs and Divine Minds.
Yeah, exactly. But I just want to point out, like, that elimination final we just had then, even though it says 3-0, in my eyes, that wasn't a 3-0. Like, yeah,
that was like a game 5.
Yeah, it felt like that. Even though they swept them, it just, every game was so close. It came down to the last, like, couple of seconds. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I really think that the Demon boys, you know, if one thing went their way a little bit earlier on in that series, we could be singing a completely different tune. But let's start talking about the grand final. It's the Chiefs taking on Divine Mind here, and this is a story almost as old as time this time around for us here in Halo Infinite, boys, because it feels like every second tournament is going to be these two guys going head-to-head, and whether it be a best-of-5 grand final bracket reset, we've had everything between both of these teams. And Justin, this Chiefs roster, they came into Pro Series number 4. They decided to bring in Slays here as a little bit of a fill-in. A change-up, a fill-in, whatever you want to call it here for the Chiefs. Getting out of Prades and now coming in with Slays. And these guys, they haven't missed a beat throughout the entirety of today. And I think, you know, this is going to be no different in this grand final.
Yeah, and Slays snaked from Divine Mind. I'm not sure what the situation is there, but he is just a superstar with his eyes on the prize, and I would be watching out for him. And it'd be interesting to see if maybe there's a bit of bad blood from the Divine Mind boys going, listen, Slays, you're going to regret ever leaving our roster. So they're going to be fired up even more to take down the Chiefs, in my opinion.
I mean, we could have said the same thing last time we saw Flex Reigns playing on the roster for the Chiefs. It was kind of the same sort of scenario,
yeah,
right?
Flex is too nice to hold his right against. That's the problem. He just gives you that smile, and you're like, okay, Flex, it's okay. You can do what you like.
You're right, fine. Take the tournament victory. It's okay here. We don't want it. But anyways,
here's the trophy.
Here you go.
Take my HCS points.
Unless Slays is a plant and he's there to lose on purpose.
Oh, this is some crazy conspiracy theories we've got floating around here, boys.
Weird things have happened.
I mean, true, we have had some pretty crazy stuff happen here in the Pro Series. But let's talk about this Divine Mind roster, right? Because these guys, when we were coming into the Pro Series, there was a little bit of a change-up in their roster. They brought Beeson into it. They had this kind of core that was floating around. Yeah, they've made some chops and changes as they go through, but these guys have started to look, you know, relatively strong once again here, Hoots, and I think these guys are really trying to make a shot for the title one more time.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the Flex Reigns and what he's brought to the team coming in, and yeah, you know, we spoke about how unfortunate it was for Demons in that last series to lose those really close matches, but you know, on the flip side, for Divine Mind to be able to actually close them out means so much as well. And so, you know, we've seen Rated as well as we got up on screen here. He's just been going off as well. You know, like, sort of the powerhouse of Divine Mind, I guess you could say, and contributing the most average kills per game for the squad, in Pro Series 4. So, he's been doing a fantastic job, and he's one of the players that Divine Mind really need to catch fire if, to be honest, if they are going to have any chance of beating Chiefs. But, they're coming off a pretty hyped series from just before. I reckon the adrenaline's going to be running, and they can use that to get straight in, whereas Chiefs have been kind of sitting around waiting for a little bit. So, they come in warm.
Yeah, and I think, that's something that we talk about a little bit when we have these Pro Series, right, where it's about once you get into that grand final, you have to sit around for a little bit. There's been a decent amount of time between the series that we've shown on stream and what we get to play right now at the end of the night. And, I think the Chiefs have shown to us that they don't really care whether or not they're warm or cold coming into a lot of these series. These guys are just here to play, and these guys are here to play some top-tier Halo. And looking at these maps here, Justin, we've got CTF starting out on Aquarius. Again, I think, I've probably tooted this horn a little bit too much, but I really do feel like the Chiefs are the best CTF team in Australia. Best team in Australia, full stop. But these guys have really been able to put a different stamp on CTF against these ANZ teams. And if Divine Mind are able to make that a bit of a tight series or even take the map, then that's a really good start for them here up against the Chiefs.
Yeah, their timing just seems impeccable, right? Like, it seems like every time they're pulling a flag, it goes in or gets almost all the way there. You won't see them just, overextend and like desperate flags and that kind of thing. They take their time, they get a couple of picks and rotate off map control and get those flags moving. And that's really translated into winning a whole lot of CTF maps. So CTF Aquarius is a good one to start off for the Chiefs, because if they're coming off Divine Mind, they're coming off a hot series themselves. They're nice and warmed up. So Chiefs needs a strong map for themselves that's going to give them some confidence to take down this Divine Mind roster that's hot and ready to go.
Yeah, and I think also something that we need to touch on as well here is the fact that if Divine Mind go for the title here, they have to get a full bracket reset. And I think going through the way that these bracket resets work, I think, who's almost, I don't want to say all the time, but if you want to try and make a legitimate shot for the title, I think you have to make the first series relatively quick and easy for yourself. You have to try and make this look as clinical as possible, move into the next series as kind of fresh as a daisy and see what you can get done from there. If this turns out to be a full 5-map slugfest, it's going to be hard for both these teams to try and get through this, considering the fact that Divine Mind have had to play a lot more Halo today than the Chiefs guys have. They've only had to play 3 series to get to this point, and Divine Mind have had to play through 4 or 5. So the fact that they've had to play so much more Halo, and if it goes all the way to 5 maps and we go back into another best of 5, that's when you're really starting to be like, okay, how long can these guys be playing at 100% to try and take this title?
Yeah, Divine Mind need to, what you're pretty much saying is right, Luke, like they need to just take Chiefs and just snap them in half straight away and really get on to the next one. No, you're 100% right. It's something they need to do straight away. And as we were just talking about before, it's kind of unfortunate that the opening map is CTF Aquarius, given that it is one of Chiefs' strongest maps. But, weirder things can happen. Chiefs will take some solace in the fact that it is one of their stronger maps going off the bat. But, Divine Mind are going to have to bring it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, Halo games of the past here, Justin, we've seen BBR take CTF Aquarius against the Chiefs, so it's not like these guys are completely untouched across it, but it has just been one of those kind of stomping grounds for the Chiefs, and especially when we start to see players like Pips or even Barcode pick up that heat wave, we've been able to see what these guys can do. So I think that's probably going to be the real big focal point for us looking at both these teams, is who's really going to be able to have control of a lot of those power weapons and even the equipment.
Hey, listen, maybe the fact that this first map is one of Chiefs' stronger game types could play into the hands of Divine Mind, because they're coming off the back of a series and they're ready to go. If they can take one of Chiefs' strongest maps off them early on, then that's going to set them up for momentum. So we're talking about Chiefs having a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of time to warm up so they can respond to these hot Divine Mind players. But it also might be a good opportunity for Divine Mind to take a map off Chiefs early and to do it on one of their favored game types. So it would be a really strong start for them.
Yeah, I think it's really going to be exciting for us to see if the Divine Mind guys can really start to fire up in this first map, really start to stick it to the Chiefs. But we've seen what happens when the Chiefs get their backs against the wall, Hoots. Like, we've seen these guys go all the way into an elimination bracket. They came from the bottom and went all the way through the grand final to get a 6-0 map score against the Divine Mind lads in previous Pro Series. So I think it's going to be a pretty hard task for anybody to take down the Chiefs. And Divine Mind, they've got a pretty big task ahead of them. But I think if they can start out with a bit of fire in their bellies, then we've got a hell of a series on our hands.
Yeah, the Chiefs just get real angry, and that's what they did in that last time you're talking about. Is that Barcode was just so angry and was just playing like a maniac, and he was trash talking and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what they need to do if that is the situation they find themselves in. It's worth noting, just for the people who have just tuned in, if you're watching, we're not actually running a training or a recruitment drive for the Army right now, despite all the green t-shirts. We actually are here to cast some Halo, and we do have our grand finals starting now in this game. Best of 5 series, sorry, I should say. The Chiefs up against Divine Mind. Aquarius CTF, the first game we're playing. As Luke mentioned before, Justin, we do need to see Divine Mind. If they want a chance of winning this, they're going to have to reset this best of 5 bracket and then go again in another best of 5. So the task is definitely up against them, and they're going to need to pull out some pretty clutch Halo to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I love what Fluke said, is that they can't let the series drag out. They really need to come out hot and apply pressure to Chiefs right away. Don't give them any room to breathe. But as we say this, Barco, just so aggressive, double kill already. And he's halfway across the map, grabbing himself map control. He's like, well, I'm just going to grab these thrusters. I'll be right back. And Barco just doing Barco things. He does get shut down by Flex Range though. Now on board with Beeson, getting challenged there. Slay's putting him down into the respawn screen. Now on board with Raided, who has just been a monster all night. Cleans up 1 kill. A flag is already on the move. It's straight out of the gates like it's Melbourne Cup Hoots. The horses are full sprint.
The horses are bolted. Yeah, Raided did have a quick look then at the Chiefs base to see if he could get a pull and try and cause a bit of a distraction, but he was dropped. We do have a pull coming out though. I don't think there's actually really been much of a movement there from Divine Mind of the flag. That being said, Chiefs were a lot down then as well and weren't really able to do anything with this flag. So I think we've got a return here right now. If I'm wrong, Justin, I can't actually see it popping up on the HUD, but we are on board with Berserk, who's doing a bit of damage here in the Chiefs base. So he's going to try and start to run it out straight up the middle, which is kind of aggressive, but probably a smart move there. I think he probably didn't really have his teammates around him to make a good run on this flag, and he's going to back down. He's got this heat wave in his back pocket as well. He's probably better off trying to stay alive and using this well to maybe set up for another pull.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He didn't have any help with him, so he threw that flag out, caused a ruckus, as you like to say, Hoots, and did a lot of damage with that heat wave as well. And now Beeston, he's running that flag across, and that may not have been possible if Berserk wasn't applying pressure one spawn ago, and he's moved this across pretty freely. Beeson maybe putting the first flag in. 1 on the board for Divine Mind. Got ourselves a series by the looks of it, Hoots.
Yeah, Divine Mind were just really aggressive staying in that base, and even though they were having players dropped in the Chiefs base, they just kept sending people in to almost just brute force their way in, which worked in the end really well. They got a few Chiefs players down, and Chiefs just were never really in a position to run it. We even saw the comms coming through super smart from Beast, and he decided to back off and not really make a direct run at the flag there when coming through the utility. He waited a little bit and then put it in, and was able to get through pretty unscathed. We are seeing now, it looks like a flag being run from Chiefs, and we have here Raided just hanging in his base, trying to stay alive. Unfortunately, that's 2 down for both teams, and it looks like we are going to have Pips up here in top mid. We saw Barco doing a lot of damage from here, Justin, in a previous game, but they are now in a position to start to run this flag, and I think Pips is positioned really well here to try and help. But unfortunately, I don't know who was actually running that flag first. Pips decided to try and run it. I thought he was going to try and stay and lend a bit of support.
No, but it doesn't matter. It does look like Madsy is able to get that up on the podium, but he does fall. The Divine Minds putting a pressure across and able to get 2 kills as well. Are they going to be able to get that return? Pips, he wants that flag. He can see it. He can taste it. And the return's going to come in. And it looks like Divine Mind, they're poised to get another flag going. And it's on the move, Hoots. Divine Mind coming hot out of the gates, just as we said that they needed to. And they've already got that second flag on the move. Looks like they're getting it across the map for free as well. No response from the Chiefs. They might even let them just have this one, Hoots.
I think the flag actually managed to get returned. So it looks like, yeah, they were in a bit of a position. I think one of the Divine Mind players might have been Raided, got dropped when running that flag, so he unfortunately wasn't able to put it in. But Barcode, he was holding top mid as we've seen him do, but constantly we are looking at this scoreboard here and the kill feed and just seeing that the Chiefs are 2 or 3 down quite often, and Divine Mind usually just 1 or 2. So they're definitely holding their own in terms of the slays, and they're able to stay alive and be in positions where they can stop these flag runs and make flag pulls of their own. But, it seems like they're almost going that rope-a-dope style of play, just absorb, and then when you finally get a chance, make a counter punch and start to move in. It's a really smart play.
Yeah, absolutely right. And now we have Pips putting some shots across the map there. And after that one flag, it seems to be calmed down a little bit. It's pretty quiet on the map. Barcode, you know, maybe he's going full stealth mode. He's got all the goodies. He's got the thrust, he's got the camo, and he's got that passive income grenade coming through. Look at that, perfectly placed. Gets called out by Flex Range though, so he gets shut down. So important to flush out those camo players and shut them down as soon as possible. So great stuff from Divine Mind to get that going, but that flag is just below them. Got to get that return. But look at this pressure from Flex Range. He's just coming straight into the base, and he's counter-capping. The flag's on the move, does get the toss out, but he's a little bit vulnerable here with no shields. But they do clear out all the players. Flex Range desperately trying to find an angle where a grenade or a bullet isn't coming his way, Hoots.
Yeah, but just unfortunate taking down there. Though Beeston does a great job of staying alive, and he could be in a position we can see Barcode making a mad dash. He's going to toss a few nades, but Beeston again really smart here, laying low. Barcode's going to probably come in from bottom util. In fact, he's moving over to the stairs, so Beeston just needs to be careful of Barcode's going to be right on his right there. He does have that heat wave though, so that's going to help him if it does get to a close quarters battle. As you see there, he is able to drop Barcode, but in the meantime, their flag's pulled. So Beeston's dropped, and we may actually see it's all dead for Chiefs actually. So Divine Mind could be in a great position here if they get this return, which they do, to put a second flag in. So they're just out slaying them really hard, Justin.
Yeah, Flex Rain's able to come out on top and get that flag in, and Divine Mind, they seem to be playing things very calculated, right? Like Beeston, he held the flag there and he's like, no, I've got to take my time. I need another round of slays before I can get that one to the finish line and get another one on the board. And that translated to the help arriving from his teammates and clearing out the aggressors there. And now they're up 2-0 against Chiefs on their strongest game type.
Yeah, but Beeston's been super disciplined running these flags, and we are seeing a flag now being run by Chiefs. Pips and Madzi, it is working together really well actually in that utility. Berserk's probably not going to be in a position to put much of a stop on this run, so he's going to probably just hang back, and I think Madzi's going to run. I think they're pretty much given that one up, Justin. They've just said, all right, let him have that one. There's no point putting ourselves in an overextended position where they can look at running a second one. Let's just stay back, and that's a smart move in there, because Madzi and Pips were working really well running that one through the car side.
Yeah, and listen, if you've got all the wrinkles in your big brain firing on all cylinders, you can let a flag go across and it keeps you focused on the task at hand, which is safely moving flags across without giving up map control for it. And, you know, hit the nail on the head, Hoots. It's just sometimes it's better to just let them go and let them have that one. Well, they're running that in. We're going to take control of the map. And Chiefs trying to get another one going, but Rated and the boys able to shut that one down. Barcode there, he does fall, so it should be an easy return for Divine Mind. And picking up another one, responding to those call-outs so well. Such a small little gap that he could look through that angle, but responded to it and got the cleaner, and picking up Madzi as well. And he was pretty weak in that situation too. So Rated, he's just performing all of tonight, Hoots. He's got to be MVP for the evening.
Yeah, he's doing fantastically, and you can see he's working with We've actually got 3 from Divine Mind pushing in to the Chiefs base, so they're going to spread out a little bit as Chiefs are 3 dead. Looks like they're getting spawned in the flag, as you see Madzi running straight out through to the util here, trying to put some kind of a stop to it. Rated's going to put a stop to him, and it looks like Berserk running that flag down through the car side, but Chiefs have been able to do pretty well and make a pretty mad push onto this flag and put a stop, and they're going to get the return as well. Actually, I thought they were gone for all money there, but they've done really well to get that return, and instead it looks like Divine Mind pushing back to their flag a little bit, playing defense, knowing that they're a few down.
Yeah, and Pips going in for a little bit of a push here, responding to everything that he can. The communications coming through. 3 dead for Divine Mind, so Pips in a really strong position to run that flag straight down the middle, getting things around and cutting around that angle, and he's just a fraction too slow to get around that corner. But here comes Slays for the backup, but they're dogpiling on that return. Berserk and Flex Rain's too strong for Slays there. Taking him down, and now they're getting set up for a flag run of their own. A lot of resources got committed to try and get that flag moving, and it does look like Divine Mind counter-capping in a way, pushing into the base. Rated, finding himself one. Flag is now on the move for Divine Mind. The spawners are applying some pressure, but just looking through the map there on the observer mode, it does look like that player's opted to just OE straight away and just kind of let those players have that flag in the base as the Chiefs counter-cap in a way.
Yeah, we're just seeing like an inordinate amount of flag pulls going on for both sides here. We can see in the background there, Barcode running that flag into his base, although FlexRains is there putting in a bit of a fight. And meanwhile, Raided, who's actually the last one alive now, just holding it here in the util, waiting for his teammates to spawn back. I don't think they're going to be in any kind of a position to get a return, and in fact, he's got to deal with someone behind him with a heat wave. So that flag's going to be in a bit of an awkward position for him to grab and try and make a move on, knowing there's a guy with the heat wave right there in that utility. But it looks like he might have backed off, unless it's Pips actually below him. So Pips still with that heat wave, be able to clean him up, so that's really handy. Getting Pips out of there, he was going to be able to do a lot of damage in close quarters and potentially look at getting a return. But meanwhile, doing a bit of cross-map work, Raided, putting shots on Madzi as well after he drops, I believe it was Slays. So he's now starting to make a move in. They're swarming in pretty hard. There's an assist. He's going to try and get a move on this camo, and Barcode still just managing to stay alive, keeping this flag for his team, although he actually drops it out the front of his base. So I'm not sure what the thinking was behind that, Justin. Maybe it's just been a bit of a fumble.
Maybe a bit of a fumble, but did look like there was a lot of pressure coming through from multiple angles there. And if I'm not mistaken, both flags ended up getting a return.
Yeah.
Ah, that's such a heartbreaker. When you have a flag standoff, you gotta have the climax at the end with all that build up. But now on board with Berserk, having a look at the kill feed, he's on 21 and 17, so putting up some big numbers for his squad. And I don't know, quick maths, it might be the Divine Mind is out slaying Chiefs at this point, but Slays with that camo now, working with his teammates to get a coordinated push in. They get a pick, and the flag is on the move, looking for those spawners. FlexRain's completely unaware, and he's going to be able to shut him down. He didn't even need to get that kill in that situation. He already applied the pressure that he needed to, and Madzi moving that flag, he's quickly checking behind him. I think after so many failed flag attempts, he's maybe a little bit less confident about just being able to run that one in. And he's checking his angles, and a lot more cautious than maybe they usually would be.
Yeah, and I think Barcode's actually stayed alive to get a double. He needs to get this triple if they've got any chance. They actually got the return as well, so they've only got a minute left now. Chiefs are down one cap, so Divine Mind can start to play a bit defensively if they want, although Pips, with this heat wave moving in, can make a bit of a difference here. They are all around the flag, and Pips very smart. They're taking FlexRains down super easy, taking no damage. There are two Divine Mind players up top mid, but we are 2 down for Divine Mind as well, so they're the last 2 guys in a position to put a stop to this. That being said, they have pushed through down to the Chiefs flag and have dropped 2 on that side, so he might not even be in a position to pull this, and it looks like Divine Mind is just going to try and hang around and cause a nuisance in this base, and Pips, he gets a trade out, but I don't know, are they in a position to cap this, Justin? It's kind of hard to tell. It's getting pretty frantic. They are slowly pushing it in.
It's getting scrappy in here. Get your glue sticks out, because we're going to be making ourselves a scrapbook. Slays with his mitts on that flag, desperately trying to get it in. 11 seconds, and the flag is out. They've thrown it out. They've thrown the bait flag out. Only 7 seconds. Divine Mind, they might be able to take this one out. Pips, he's got his mitts on the flag. It's going to go into overtime. They're going to have to get that return. Pips desperately trying to stay alive. His shields are flashing, Hoots. He's straining, and here comes Slays with pickup as well. Are they going to get that re? This is so stressful. Get it in, boys, in the return. And they've tied it up 2-2. Overtime.
God, it was just absolutely frantic there, and you had Barcode dropped off their flag momentarily and wasn't able to be in a position to get that return and put their flag in, and I thought they were maybe going to lose that one, and Divine Mind so close to being able to put that through and get the win in this first game, but unfortunately just didn't work for them, and we basically reset now. We got another 5 minutes to see if we can get a result from here, but geez, there was just so many flag pulls in that game, Justin. It was all over the place.
Yeah, and you know what? It was always down to the podium, right? They never, got caught halfway. They always got it basically all the way across the map. Nice shots from Pips there, the cleanup, Raided, and now we're on board with FlexRains. He has got that heat wave and the camo, and he's got a thrust in his back pocket as well. So he's got all the utility, all the goodies, and it's very silent right now. Not a lot going on. Excuse me?
What?
Hello?
How does that work?
Where's his kill? I want to speak to the manager. Like, he's definitely going to need a refund after that one.
The Karen
Berserk, tasty little double kill there, going for the third. He does get shut down, maybe a little bit too overconfident there. But now on board with Pips, as he's 2-on-1 right now, so it seems to be pretty even. Area denial with those grenades there. FlexRains holding back 2 players right now. Madzi very weak, and a lot of Divine Mind players falling in the kill feed. They're 3 dead. Berserk's the last one alive, last man standing, running around there. So Chiefs, they can move freely across the map here, Hoots. And look at that. They just sprinted across and like, hey guys, we're in your base. We're going to come steal your flag.
Yeah, but Divine Mind clearly knew that that was coming, and you can see off the spawn they are getting right over to the Chiefs side. Not necessarily in their base, but at least getting top mid side to try and provide some kind of a cutoff when a flag run does happen. So flags out on both sides now. We have on board with Pips, and making a move over through this car side is he's going to look to provide a bit of support here as they run it. But this flag's in a bit of an awkward spot for them to return. They do get the return though, so with only one down for Divine Mind, they may still be in a position to stop this somehow, but working really well as a team here. I think there was a bit of a trade there between Madzy and Rated. Pips just trying to stay alive. This flag's still being run, but they just can't get there. Beaston manages to get across into the Chiefs flag and put a bit of a stop to that, but flag's still out. They just need to somehow get a touch on this Chiefs to keep it alive. It looks like they're going to be able to do that now as Slays comes in and just keeps it alive, but doesn't even get the trade, and Barcode now the only one left. This flag's going to return, Justin.
Now, another one return. It is just so even right now. Both of these squads are just countering each other so well. That flag was on the move, and as you pointed out, Divine Minds, they just had a perfect overextend to challenge them and get map control, and were able to shut that one down after a few scrappy battles of attrition there. Now Beeson across the map with that flag, and that flag's just been thrown out. Their desperation, they've just got to get the read, and they will be able to get that one in. And there we have it, one on the board, and Divine Mind, they take map number 1, Hoots. And as we said, we needed them to take this first map, come out hot, and take down Chiefs on potentially their best map and game type. Divine Minds, they're poised to take him down. I can feel it in my loins.
Yeah, and that was a bloody close one as well, going to overtime, and they still had to scrap. I want to highlight Beaston. His flag runs in that match were unreal. Like, he ran car side every single time, but he's just able to, with that slide, get it down so quickly. And then when he gets to util and gets top util, just before running over the catwalk there to put it in, he always waits. He never charges aimlessly, which is what a lot of players can tend to do. When you're so close to the flag, you can just think, why wouldn't I run and put it in? But, knew not to do that. Super smart player. I love it from him.
Yeah, and can't say enough nice things about the boys on Divine Mind. They seem to be getting things together now. They've got Beaston, who's a star up-and-coming player that's doing things that you're not seeing from the other players coming from the Call of Duty community. His playstyle is a little bit different. And Rated, he's just such a different player than what he was during Halo 5. He is so collected and big brain about everything, but previously he was more of an instinctual player who's just like a rabid dog, but now you could see he's thinking about everything that he's doing, so calculated and making good decisions, and then backing it up with a monster shot and being able to challenge the best players in the region. And that's translated to taking this first map.
Yeah, absolutely. Chiefs did a really good job to get it to that tie towards the end. It was just a really last line of defense thing, as we saw just a little bit before, but running that final flag in was just perfect execution. And yeah, you take a lot of confidence from that win. We now move into our next game, but as we said before, it was not a game type we thought Divine Mind would have a shot in, and they were able to really win in a scrap as well, right? Like, it wasn't a super convincing win, but they had to get down and dirty and win it that way, and they can be the ones that really amp you up the most when you've had to sort of go the hard yards and put it in. It hasn't been easy. And so now we move on to our next game, Slayer Bazaar, and this is a map I love watching Barcode in particular. I know we talk about him every broadcast, but with him in the grapple hook on this map, we've seen him do some crazy things, and it's something I always look forward to myself.
Yeah, but one thing is that you can do those things when you have map control and you have freedom created by your teammates. And with Divine Mind starting to step up a little bit and get to that Chiefs level, are they going to be able to shut Barcode down from doing those super flashy things and just grappling himself across the map? Or is Barcode just going to do whatever the hell he wants like he always does? He probably will, but Divine Mind, I don't think they're just going to let players do that kind of stuff for free. So I think Chiefs, they need to be careful about how flashy and how confident they are on this next game type. They've got to play good Halo.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's good to see that Divine Mind, they're the only team we've seen so far send Chiefs down to the elimination bracket a couple of weeks ago, and it's great to see that they're still able to hang with them as well. Chiefs have been practicing and scrimming non-stop, but, and that can often be the time when it's those particular teams that just start to put a real gap between themselves and the rest, but Divine Mind can certainly hang, and it just bodes really well for the rest of the competition to prove that, with enough practice, these top teams, even though Chiefs have won 6 and they going for 7 in a row, they're still gettable. And you know, a map like that we've just seen then shows that. And like you said just now, Justin, you know, the pressure that they're going to have to look to apply on, and Barcode not going to be able to have the free reign that he typically does when going up against some of the lesser teams, is going to make a massive difference. And so he can't just pop off like he normally does against some of those other teams. He's going to have a lot of pressure coming from him from players like Rated, who we saw in that last game, just going absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? With the way that Raided's been playing, he's going to hold good angles and apply pressure where it's needed rather than being careless with his life. He's very conservative and checking his angles and putting himself in good positions to apply pressure to the other team. And that's going to be critical on a map like Bazaar, because you have that whole middle area that is just so open. So you need to be disciplined about how you rotate across that to collapse on other players. You can't just run down there to the market looking for a piece of fruit, because you're going to have his head taken off.
And it gets exploded at the start of every game anyway.
Yeah.
Look, we're just waiting for the next game to get started. We just had a few little technical issues, but we're getting them sorted out in a second. It's worth talking, I think, briefly about Kansas as well, that we've got coming up, you know, starting in, I believe I've got it written down here, 29th of April to the 1st of May. So, you know, once this Pro Series is done, we do have a bit of a break before we start getting ready for the Supers and everything, and then have Kansas afterwards. But it provides an interesting opportunity where there's not really tournament play for a little bit of time here in ANZ, but these teams have a lot of time to start scrimming and be doing things on their own terms, playing maps and game types that they might particularly want to work on rather than what's dictated by a tournament schedule. So, you know, it's going to be interesting, Justin, for us to keep an eye at least on who we're seeing online playing a lot, who's scrimming who. You know, we heard before some teams getting, I guess, you know, pushed a bit to the side in terms of wanting scrims but not being able to get any. Are they able to break through, and how do we see the scene start to evolve between now and when we have that Super? You know, the scene could change completely. We've seen how much it's changed since November when the game launched. You know, this can be that time where we really see the game starting to go up to another level.
Yeah, and listen, the teams that keep their practice consistent in the down periods between tournaments, they're the ones that are going to continue to get better. You can't expect to go, hey boys, well, we're not going to have a cut for a couple of weeks, so therefore I'm just not going to play any Halo. I'll see you before the tournament. You've got to make sure that you're maintaining that. I mean, your fine motor skills, they're all muscles and tendons. You've got to make sure that you keep them tuned up, and then your brains, you've got to work them out. You know, like, you've got to keep your brain in tip-top shape if you're going to be able to think your way through all of these games. So the teams that are consistent with their scrims and their practice, even in the off seasons, they're the ones that are going to be able to step up and surprise people when it comes down to tournament time.
Absolutely, you got to get that brain work and get the Nintendo DS out. Bit of Big Brain Academy for anyone who used to play that back in the day. That used to be my alternative to studying. I'd just be like, oh, I'm playing Big Brain, I'm working my brain in other ways. And yeah, didn't really work out that way when the final exam results came through, but that's a story for another day. We are jumping into this second game type here. Slayer on Bazaar, on board with Barcode at the start, grabbing that thruster pack to get right into the fight here through Palm. And you know, it's interesting to see, Justin, I think Barcode at the start of most of these Bazaar games used to go straight through double doors and grab that grapple hook and make a play for rockets, but we're not really seeing that anymore. He's mixed things up a little bit, and instead it looks like he's getting in a position for this overshoot. And I think Madzi is going to have a pretty clear run at it with some great cover fire from Barcode, using that thruster, just going towards flex range, dropping him, and Madzi with that OS. It's going to be a good start for them as they look to get a bit of map control.
Yeah, listen, maybe the change up off the rip is more to do with where players were spawning. Like, for instance, the tail end of Halo 5, it got down to efficiencies of what you did off the start was based on where you spawned, right? And maybe that's how things are starting to translate. They're going, listen, if you spawn here, you're going this way. If you spawn here, you're going this way, because it's the most efficient way of getting things done. I could be completely off base and they're just changing up how they're starting their games. But it potentially could be that. And Barcode on a tear right now. He's already bagged himself 3 kills. 9-1 currently. So nice strong start from the Chiefs right now. But here's Barcode just running across the catwalk there. You're having no pressure applied to him, and he's just searching out these players. He's full tunnel vision trying to find them. So he seems just as comfortable as he always is on this map.
Yeah, we might have had Angry Barcode awoken after that last game, because this is a bit of a statement coming out with an 11-kill lead already at this point, and with this grapple hook, just look at the aggression rolling in, and Flex Range copying some shots as well. If his team can start to push through these double doors, they can really start to collapse on Divine Mind, but they need to make sure they don't overextend too much. We do have OS popping in about 10 seconds, so they want to make sure they're in a position to at least make a play for that as well. But right now, it's just basically, I think it's Barcode and is it Pips just running it over here and just not really giving the Divine Guy a chance. And Barcode's just going full Spider-Man, jumping around everywhere, and just his movement around the map is just a level above most others.
Yeah, and 18 and 4, they're just running over them right now. So much confidence, so much control, or not able to get that grenade through the hole there, and the pressure coming out on him straight away. But there's Pips with that overshield sniffing. It's like, don't worry, Alex, I'll get him for you. But no, he manages to snake that anyway. And a Barcode on a killing spree already, 21 and 4. Chiefs is like, nah. You may beat us in CTF, but we're going to spank you round the bazaar all night long. And I like that position. It was so hectic.
Yeah.
And now Barcode's just chilling out,
Taking a
ready
breather.
to get us.
Take a breather.
Yeah, he's having a breath. He's probably having a couple of chips and a little bit of a drink. His boys, just give me a sec. I'm a bit peckish after running around so much. Now Slay's putting some pressure down. He is going to fall. Flex Range trying to rotate around the map. The Beast and doing what he can to keep the players off that spanker. And Divine Mind, they cannot let Chiefs get that spanker, Hoots.
No, not at all. I mean, it's looking dangerous enough as it is. They're already out to 23. Barcode's unfortunately dropped. I thought we were going to potentially be able to request to get back to him for a running riot, but that's not to be the case. And I think we have Rockets here with Pips sitting down at bottom Rockets here. So just rolling through with the shoddy combo as well. And we saw the damage he was able to do with that Bulldog and Raleigh, Justin. And, you know, it's not Street, so that's the map where he was doing it. This map's a little bit more open, but, geez, Rockets and Shoddy, he's doing a good job of just hanging around this area because those two weapons are pretty lethal here. Unfortunately, getting one of those, what do you call them, Justin? The mashed potato rockets there, not really working to much effect. And, you know, he's just causing a bit of a ruckus, and Barcode's coming down to help him, but he'll kill himself.
It works perfectly well against himself, apparently.
Yeah, the one thing to take Pips down was Pips himself. Hey, look, do I want to put this back a little bit now? It's only a 10-kill gap, you know, compared to what it was earlier. But, yeah, look, it's still that they've got themselves a really nice lead, and we have said that the one thing with Chiefs is you don't want to give them that buffer at the start to be able to just get a big break on you, because they're a team who can turn it on when required, but also hold those leads out really well.
Yeah, Chiefs is all about confidence, right? And if they've got a buffer, then that gives them confidence. So look at that little duck and weave from Pips there. He strafes so strong and able to shut down that play. Scoreline 30-17. It's starting to blow out quite a lot. It's not too late, Hoots. There's still enough time there for Divine Mind to bring things back. A couple of rounds of slays, and they're able to bring this one back. But Pips now with that OS, and Rated doing what he can to apply some pressure there. Didn't take any bullets himself. And maybe he should have stuck around to help against Pips a little bit more. And now Pips with that double kill, roaming through. Beaston trying to be sneaky here. Is he going to be caught off guard? He turned around. Look at that, the timing. What was he doing? Was he looking at the geometry on the map and going, that's a nice texture? And then Pips just went straight past him.
He had the Mangler as well. I don't know how he wasn't able to even, I don't think he even connected with one of them. I think he missed the Mangler and just hit the straight melee. So that's really unfortunate with his 15 kill lead. So Mangler, all right, that Mangler.
Speaking of missing the melee.
Yeah, let's just all avoid that one. It's not working for anyone. We may as well cut our losses. But Barcode, you know, out to 12 kills, 4 deaths right now. He's just having his way really right now and moving around really freely. But Madzy just hanging at these double doors. His team's hanging out bottom Rockets as well. So he's sort of the lone, almost ratting it out for his team over on this side, just causing a distraction. And he'll say, you know, you can come right at me, Flex Range. I'll melee you and take the trade every day of the week because I'm up 14 kills and I've got those ones to spare.
Yeah, a little bit. You can't be just trading things out. 38-25. Chiefs, they're really running away with it at this point. And look at this. Barcode's already setting up for that rocket to spawn up. Overshield's about to pop too. And he's got that Mangler to hold down this area on the map. If Chiefs get this Overshield and this rocket, it's all over. Divine Mind, they cannot let them get it. It's really their last opportunity to bring things back. That was very hectic there. Beaston, that was a really tasty strafe. And he almost got the better of Barcode there. Overshield has just popped, and so has the rocket. Fresh mag into the Mangler. Is he going to drop it? And he is. He's opting for the BR Spanker combo, the correct combo, and he's got a thrust. He hasn't. It looked like he was looking up and it's like, oh, I could have sworn I had a grapple, but he didn't, Hoot. So now he's going to have to rotate through the sewers.
Yeah, 10 kill gap right now. It looks like there's not going to be a stake-tacular, unfortunately. I thought we were definitely on track for that at the start of the match. But going back to that fight between Barcode and Beeson before, I think it's safe to say that Barcode and Beeson probably have the two best strafes in ANZ, I think. Barcode just has this weird, loopy sort of circular motion, and Beeson's got that sort of COD background and that strafing with that as well that he puts to perfection. That was fantastic to watch before. We have two dead right now for Chiefs as well as Divine Mind. And look, Divine Mind's starting to bring it back a little bit. 9 kill gap, but they just don't have any free deaths really to play with right now. Slay's here, 11 kills and 9 deaths, so he's doing a good job as well, keeping his teammates ahead here. But you know, with this gap, Justin, it's probably going to be quite insurmountable for Divine Mind. We have seen some pretty incredible comebacks so far tonight in terms of Slayer, but I think this one might be a bit beyond their reach, and Chiefs looking pretty strong to start to level this at 1-1.
Yeah, and listen, like if you were Divine Mind and you were looking to bring a game back, it's all about just that next round of Slayers. And he goes, boys, we're just going to win the next rotation. And then you're like, okay, well, now the deficit is like 6 kills. And you're like, that's within reach. We can do that. It's like, that's only one more rotation. You've just got to break it down. You can't look at it and go, oh, look, they're up 15 kills. We'll never catch up to them. And, you know, Divine Mind Chiefs, just a little bit too strong for them this time, responding really strongly after that CTF game. Coming out angry code coming out, and a little bit of rubber banding there as he's flinging himself into the air. 50-35, I think the scoreline was, so pretty convincing in the end.
Yeah, look, that was a pretty one-sided affair. It was, you know, you can try and spin the narrative a bit that Divine might have a chance to get back into it, but when you have a start that I think was, what was it, 14-2 or something like that, it was always going to be very hard for them to get back to that, and Barcode was just running wild at the start there. I thought we were on board for a running ride. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, but still just flying around, and you saw the kind of ability they had to be able to just hang top mid and not take any damage consistently, and that's something that Divine Mind are going to need to try and shore up. But we saw their Barcode 17 kills there, which was a leading Slayer on the map, I believe it was. And then yeah, across on the other side, not really much to write home about for Divine Mind, unfortunately. So you know, we take that 1-1 now in the series, so we're tied back up. Keep in mind, if you have just joined us, Divine Mind did lose to the Chiefs earlier in this tournament, so they're going to have to win this best of 5, and then that will reset the bracket, and then we'll have to go to another best of 5 after that.
I would love to see a bracket reset, Hoots. Bring it on. I'm ready for it. I had myself a little bit of coffee before this series came up in preparation, staying up late, so I'm ready for it, and I'm sure Divine Mind want to take down the Chiefs in the grand final and take that streak away, and they've got it in them. They won that first map. They may have got stomped in the second, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. If a team is confident and they have map control, then they can just do what they like, and there's no reason why Divine Mind can't do that themselves. So it'll be interesting what they do in this third map.
Yeah, it's got to be a bit deflating for Divine Mind as well, right? Like they really scrapped that first win through, and you know, it looked like they were easily able to hang with the Chiefs, but when it comes to just raw slaying, the Chiefs just are on another level, really. When you have players like Barcode and Slays, and you know, Slays is fitting in. Let's talk about that as well, Justin. Slays is fitting in really well to this lineup now, rejoining the Chiefs again, and you know, sort of come in like a duck to water. And that's one thing that we've seen with the Chiefs consistently over the last couple of weeks, is that no matter who comes in, they're really just able to move on and get started straight away and start to dominate and pick up where they're left off.
Yeah, and it's just coming down to those key players, the foundations of the Chiefs squad, is that you keep them together, then you can slot in a player and they can fill that void, and the other 3 guys can just keep playing the way they're playing. And Slays, he's such a talented player that he will be able to adapt to whatever style is necessary to get the W for the Chiefs guys, so it's no surprise that they're still able to be very dominant.
Absolutely. So we are just getting started now in this game 3, Recharge Oddball. We've seen some fantastic Oddball games before, and one in fact that we had Divine Mind in last series, where they were able to just take an absolutely heartbreaking victory over Demons, coming back out of nowhere. So we know that these guys, no matter how down and out they might look, they're always still keeping positive and able to mount a comeback when possible. So we are starting with Slaves, making a move for this camo. It looks like once he clears out flex range down here, he will have a pretty free run with this camo because he has another teammate down there as well, I believe. Although Barcode was dropped, so camo is picked up by, I believe it was Pips, who's got the sword and the grapple hook, I think. So camo in the hands of Pips as we are with him now. Starting to get a bit of position around this ball, Justin, but smart move when you've got camo. No point really picking that ball up.
Yeah, he's being very patient here. And Pips, he was just looking at that ball, right? He had the grapple on it and he was setting up, ready to pick that one up, and he didn't scoop it up, letting his teammate grab that and start rotating it through. And Pips, he's been using most of this camo and not really doing a lot with it other than holding map control, suppressing that player back there and changing angles instantly. Has got that needler in his back pocket. I would love to see a pink missed kill. And Beaston, Pips are just really just holding that angle and just going, go on, peek, I dare ya. He does get dropped though, but Slay is able to put a lot of points on the board for his squad so far. Not a lot of pressure coming his way, but it does look like underneath him on the observer mode, the push is coming in, but they're able to shut that down right away, and Slays is just going to go back up the stairs and start getting some more points, going in for the challenge. Rated trying to rotate away, and Slay's doing so well there. Now he's got that Mangler, and he's got a repulsor charge as well, hanging out there on his utility belt. So Slay's pretty stacked and doing well to keep control of this area of the map.
Yeah, they're just doing really well to keep Divine Mind at bay here, right? Divine Mind are in the top gold area, but just not really able to mount any kind of a push across. That being said, Flex Range does move in, and Rated is in a position as well, it looks like. But Pips, you know, play balls at there. Well, that's effectively a play ball, dropping it into a neutral part of the map. So Divine Mind are going to have to extend out and expose themselves if they do want to start to get a bit of a play on that. The camo has come up now. Barcode drops Berserk there, and Berserk not able to put that in. Barcode instead the beneficiary of that, putting that camo in, and smart play there, just moving that ball up. No Slays is there, tosses it up to him, and Barcode with camo. He's going to want to try and start to utilize this a little bit, but unfortunately hasn't been able to fully yet. So that ball hasn't really been able to make a move into top A. You can tell Barcode wants to get it at least out of this area because he feels they're in a position to start getting a bit more time, but no one from his team really in a position to get there, and Barcode's smart move. No point wasting that camo, but great use of the plasminades there, Justin. Just waiting, predicting, and able to drop one, but unfortunately taken down himself. This ball's just stayed pretty much down here the whole time.
Yeah, it's just sitting at the bottom of the stairs. We saw Barcode. He was trying to get it up there, Hoots. He threw it up a couple of times. It just kept rolling back down. He's like, boys, I need another extra set of hands on this ball to get it up. Now looking at the scoreline, 40-0 currently. So Chiefs with a comfortable lead right now, and they're really taking their time before they're getting points onto the board. And look at that, Slays just safely scoops up that ball and starts rotating it through, getting even more points on the board for the Chiefs. And you know, Divine Mind, they can't seem to respond all that well. They're going in, they're getting a couple of kills and stalling them for a while. But as I say that, they're responding, they're set up, and they're getting some points, and they're going to try and bring this one back, dudes.
Yeah, Berserk's going to need a bit of support, I think, up at top A, and we do see there he ends up just playballing it off. He didn't really have people around him to do that, although Pips actually grabbed it off him. So mid-air, Pips grabs it, doesn't let it go down yet, and Berserk says, all right, that's all right. Maybe I'll actually try and hold it up here, which he's going to do, and start to rotate it down to Hydro, it looks like. Or no, he's actually going to double back. So a bit of uncertainty here on where to take the ball. They're being very methodical and trying to figure out where to go, but it seems like, you know, at least the comms are working properly, and they're knowing that, hey, it looks like a lot of the Chiefs guys are spawning long hole area, starting to make a move through to Hydro, so maybe we don't run it there. So smart move in the end, although it did look like he was running around like a bit of a headless chook.
A little bit. Just having a peek at the kill feed here, Hoots. And Barcode, just doing Barcode things. He's on 12 kills already. No one else is in the double digits. Star player for his squad, yada yada. Just doing everything that he does every single map. I don't know how he does it. Every single map, every single game type, he always seems to be top of the charts. Like he's trying to sell albums, now on board with Rated. And you can see that patience that I keep banging on about. Is Rated's holding those angles, checking, putting shots across map, trying to catch Barcode off guard there, applying that pressure. And here comes Berserk and his teammates, and he gets the call out, and it's like, boys, we're applying pressure, we're going in. And Rated just playing really good Halo there. and just waiting for the correct opportunity before launching across the map. Gets an easy cleanup, and look, he's going to be rewarded with the ball. Madzi's there to challenge him, and he's shut down. One shot. Berserk desperately trying to get the other kills, opting to try and thrust slide around the corner there. Goes out for the challenge, and I think he was hoping that Pips would go in for the pursuit there to try and clean him up, but it didn't pan out this time, Hoots.
Yeah, Divine Mind definitely had Chiefs sort of off kilter then. They were pushing really well and scrapping ball time up as well. You know, Chiefs did have a bit of a setup here at top gold, but unfortunately, I think when Madzi was dropped, they realized that this wasn't really worth sticking with and have tossed it off. But they've tossed it right over to Flex Reigns, who started to move it back towards the A side a little bit. But you know, there hasn't really been too much ball time in the last minute or so. It's just been a lot of fighting and slaying, and with about a minute left on the clock, that clock obviously stopped now because the ball is in the hands of Divine Mind. This one's getting really close, and Divine Mind have done a great job of being able to get back into this after the Chiefs started with about a 40-0 lead.
Yeah, 10 points of difference. It may as well be even Hoots, and Divine Mind, they are doing really well. And look at that, we just got the 1 minute warning on the screen. It could come down to time, Hoots. It's going to get super scrappy at the end of this round. I can feel it. And both teams, they're trying to be as disciplined as possible to try and wait for the perfect time to scoop that ball up. They're not looking for scrap because they can't afford to give up their lives. They're being patient and trying to get those ones down. Now Madzi with that shock rifle and the camo, picking one up for himself already. Now in a pretty decent position to grab that ball if he wants to, trying to push Flex Reigns back. He's in a tough spot now, and he's just going to hope those grenades don't come his way, and there they go to flush him out. Slay's picking up a nice kill on Beaston there. Is he poised enough to grab that ball? Only 16 seconds left, and it's just sitting down there. And Chiefs, they're just holding Divine Mind off. They don't have any time left. Are they going to be able to stop this push? And, you know, trading in those situations is really good for Divine Mind. They're just going to run down the clock. Unbelievable. And last desperation onto the oddball there. And the Chiefs take round number 1. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Justin, you said that they look like they're not wanting to scrap time, but you know, at what point do you actually think that's what we have to do, right? Like there were moments then when Divine Mind could have racked up a couple of seconds here and there, and you know, you can still drop the ball and fight at any point. It just seemed like they were trying to get the perfect setup and grab some time, but you know, often against a team like Chiefs, you're not going to get that perfect setup, and sometimes you just have to take seconds where you can get them. And you know, that could have been a bit of a difference there between winning and losing. They just unfortunately ran out of time, but yeah, there were opportunities there where I felt they could have racked up a little bit of time and just didn't take advantage of it.
No, and here Barcode, he just had the dream start there, didn't he, Hoots? He grabbed that, he got the camo, he got the grapple, then he got the shock rifle, and you could see that's exactly what he likes to do off the rip there, and got rewarded with all the goodies. But you would think the Divine Mind would know that that's what Barcode likes to do and be able to shut him down. And as I say that, he gets shut down by Beaston, so he's going to get rewarded with whatever goodies are left on the ground. And Flexrain's going, hey bro, you forgot this, but I'll take it. Ball sitting there on the ground. Chiefs already with 22 points on the board. Flexrain's not able to rotate that one away, unfortunately. Who's raided, putting some shots down there, finds himself Madzi as well. Madzi coming for the cleanup, and he's got that sword as well. He's going to be so dangerous if he can get it over to the elevator area. You can just hold that down so well with that sword. You just hold it by the door and just slice anyone in half as soon as they come through that corner. And he's ready for him. He's like, bro, you hold the ball over there. I've got this door. And he even just peeking every now and then, even if they're at the other door, that's enough of a gap that you are going to be able to close that one out. And look at that double killing spree for Madzi. Slice and dice, baby.
Yeah, this is a really strong setup for Chiefs right now. Divine Mind have been 3 down for quite a while, it looks like, just constantly getting deaths against them. And look, the spawns are staggered as well. They're trying to make a move, but Madzi with this sword is just a real problem. Raining fire down on Berserk now, double kill. That's massive, and so they're now going to get a good chunk. They'll get up to about 75 seconds, you'd think, now with Flex Reigns being taken down. Beaston's the only last one really to contest with this ball, but he's being dropped, and you're just seeing the team shots really coming in for Chiefs right now. You know, there's a strong chance they could put this one completely out of contention right now, as they're putting in, as Madzi's putting in great shots on Berserk. Berserk unfortunately drops in there for Madzi's point of view, but yeah, this ball's just being held by Pips. He's pretty much the last one alive, and play balls it down, gets a straight ball and medal, which I don't think we've even seen on stream before, Justin, for someone to have ball for that long.
I don't think I've had that one myself, but Pips, I think he's well deserved. He's a balling kind of dude, and that's quite a big lead. 86-0. That's a massive buffer. So Chiefs, they really only need to have a couple more scrap sessions, and they'll be able to put this one in the bag. Barcode picking himself up another kill, and look at that. They're already starting to rotate the ball. Divine Mind, they're all the way on the other side of the map, Pips. I'm not sure there's as much they're going to be able to do. I think this one's going to be in the bag for Chiefs.
Yep, absolutely. So that's the second round, that's the match, and then the Chiefs now take a 2-1 lead, so they take a lead in this series. And that second round then, Justin, that was just a real statement from them. It was really scrappy, similar to the kind of scrappiness we saw in that Aquarius CTF game at the start of this series, but in that one, they just had the setup set, and unfortunately, Divine Mind just kept spawning sort of in that long haul area, that top gold, and they just could not get across at all. They had Chiefs members in perfect spots everywhere, and by the time any Divine Mind member was able to get even close to Elevator or A, they were just, they had 2 or 3 shots in them already. So yeah, that was a real statement. And we said there, look at Barcode again, no surprises there, 27 kills, 12 deaths, and then unfortunately on Divine Mind, no one getting over 20 kills for them. So, they were just getting outslayed across the board, really, particularly in that second game. I think that's where you'll see most of the damage in terms of kills coming from.
Yeah, unfortunate for Divine Mind there, but you know what? I think it more boils down to Chiefs just playing that so well. You could see that when they got set up, they held together as a squad, and it's like, hey, you're on ball, and then they were cutting off all those angles and being able to apply pressure to the Divine Mind pushes, and the Divine Mind pushes weren't coordinated or strong enough to hold them back, and there we go, straight ball, and 1 minute straight of ball time for Pips. He had his mittens on that, so it must have got a little bit boring there holding that ball for that whole time. Just
didn't even need to drop it to put shots in though. That's the thing. Like, his team was just doing all of that for him. They had that. Their angles were perfectly covered, and you got to feel for Divine Mind. There was just nothing they could do against a setup that strong.
No, absolutely not. But listen, there was signs of life at some point during that first round, and Divine Mind have already taken one map. No reason to say that they couldn't take another. And when the Chiefs are strong, they're strong, and it kind of goes both ways, right? Sometimes it's just kind of, hey, Divine Mind really strong and Chiefs can't hold them back, and then other games it's Chiefs really strong and Divine Mind not able to hold them back. So Divine Mind, they've just got to keep their heads up, confidence high moving into this next map. They're just got to brush off that loss and move on to the next map.
Yeah, so we now move into Live Fire Strongholds. It's it's a map that we saw the Chiefs in particular. I think it was at Raleigh against refresh my memory, Justin, the European team that they did that fantastic comeback against Bing Chillin. That's it. So we know that they're able to perform really strongly on this map. That was the game that really set up their pretty consistent run at Raleigh until they obviously encountered some of the really top teams like Optic and those guys. But this is a game. It's do or die for Divine Mind. They really need to be able to pull this one out if they want any hope of continuing this series. Whereas the Chiefs, if they win this, they go on and win 7 tournaments in a row. Every online tournament we've run for Infinite so far, they will win if they win this game, which is a massive accomplishment off the break of a game that's brand new. Everyone comes into this game on an even playing field, and they've just been able to cement themselves at the top from the get-go and are looking to continue that legacy.
Yeah, that is a crazy stat line to think about, and the fact they've only dropped the one series online here in ANZ, it's just kind of like, and with that double elimination, they lost that series and went, we just lost the series, boys. Are we going to start taking this seriously? And then they did, and they ended up winning anyway. So, you've got to get up pretty early to catch Chiefs off guard.
Yeah, 100%. And, it is getting, for those of you watching overseas, if you are, it is getting pretty early in the morning right now. We've just hit midnight on the East Coast, which is where most of the players are playing from right now. So luckily we got a public holiday tomorrow, so we can all be sleeping in a little bit. But that's another thing we have to think about as well is fatigue, particularly Divine Mind, who've been playing a little bit more tonight than the Chiefs. At what point does that start to kick in? Because people can think, who don't really play games that often, that sitting on your couch and playing games, it's just, you're not doing anything, you're not expending any energy. But when you are playing these intense games, where a lot's on the line, you can get exhausted pretty quickly.
Your brain just turns to mush. Even just stuff, your eyes get tired and that kind of thing. But eventually, your brain will just stop functioning, right? Like, you have a full tournament and you'll just be spent mentally. And because this game is all mentals, you've got to be thinking all the time. You can't really work on instinct. You've got to be communicating and coordinating with your squad. And fatigue definitely starts to set in. So hopefully these guys had a couple of energy drinks and they're peak and ready to go.
Couple of monsters.
A couple of monsters or whatever they've got in the mini fridge next to them. But is that the case with Divine Mind? I'm not too sure. I think maybe it's just Chiefs doing what they've always done and they're just super strong.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I think we saw I think Barcode last week it was, I think, saying his sleep schedule in the lead up to these tournaments can just be completely out of kilter, and you never know. Like some of the times they've only been working off an hour's sleep or so all day, and they still are playing till 2 or 3 in the morning, which is something that in my age I just can't do anymore, Justin. But you know, when you're young, you may as well do that. But we are on board with Berserk now starting off. Divine Mind were 2 taken down at the very start, so not the best start for them. And Barcode with this snipe as well as he moves in to capture this C point. He's going to be able to put some pretty solid shots down over this brute field while this overshield pops up, and you might even be able to make a bit of a play at it uncontested. He is popping a few shields there on Rated. Rated's dropped another one on flex range, so shields just dropping everywhere, and he's almost shooting his own teammates, Justin. He's just firing at anything that moves, it looks like. 3 down for Divine Mind at that point.
Yeah, and what influence was he there on the map then, right? He was looking over into blue, applying pressure there, and then turned around and applied pressure on the players that came up behind him from bottom mid. Like, Barcode is just doing absolutely everything, and triple cap as the reward, and they're just going to be stacking up points so hard right now, and they've still got 4 bullets to play with. And Barcode, you know there's some tasty shots coming in, unable to get the cleanup, but the grenades come in. That tasty angle on Rated, just ripping his scalp off, giving there we go, giving Beaston a haircut. 2 taking him out, 3rd one's there. Will he be able to get the cleanup and Berserk? But Pips comes in and snakes away that triple kill from him. And Chiefs on that triple cap already, pumping points onto the scoreboard, Hoots.
Dear God, there was a period there, and it almost still is happening, where Divine Mind has just been 3 down consistently. We see it, as I say that, we see it again, and you know, they were running a triple cap there, the Chiefs, and I think it was the last tournament we casted, Justin, that it was this game type as well, where Barcode just with that snipe just went ballistic, and he's doing it again now. 7-0 right now to start this game off, 4 assists as well. Just putting in an absolute crap ton of damage.
He is, and he's managed to get that heat wave. Look at that disrespect. He's just flinging him off the map, God. And just like a little bit of a teabag with his gun. It's like, see you, mate, have fun in the respawn screen. I'll see you later. And here he is, 9. Just moving across the map already. So much confidence.
Give us 10.
One more for the Frenzy. There it is, killing Frenzy for the old Barcode. Still heaps of heat wave to use, and capping this stronghold as well. Already 100 points on the board for Chiefs. What are you got to do to stop this, man?
Call the fire department, because this one's out of control. This is just insane. 10 kills straight. Just
poor flex rates. No shields, just caught with his pants down.
Thanks
bottom
for the help
mid.
you gave us in the last couple of tournaments. But yeah, you're on the other side now, so you've got to be dropped. 115 to 17. We are seeing Divine Mind get a few capture points in here. They might actually start scoring if they can secure this A point, which they do. So Divine Mind now scoring a little bit, but when you've got Barcode going 13-0. What do you do, Justin? How do you stop this? The guy's just out of control. If anyone's watching from overseas and sees this is the #1 player in Australia, as you can probably tell if you haven't been paying attention to ANZ Halo too much.
Stay alive, Barcode.
Yeah, he
doesn't care. He's full sending. Look at him.
This is ridiculous. What can you even say about this? A triple cap again.
Has there ever been a perfection in a grand final? He comes Berserk, shutting him down. Oh, what a party pooper.
What a dog.
Get out of it, Harley.
Justin, take it for a while.
Yeah. And, you know, the scoreline, look at it. Triple cap still in effect for Chiefs. They've just got so much map control launching around the map. But now Madsy with that sniper trying to get a nice little no-scope there. Hits the body shot on Berserk. Here comes the cleanup. And Divine Mind, they're just hanging on for dear life. They have got 1 stronghold trying to get the 2nd, but him falling down as well. Chiefs just so comfortable on an absolute tear. The Divine Mind, they are starting to put some points on the board. Triple cap potential if they play things right, but a player does fall. Triple cap on the board for Divine Mind. They're down, but they're not out, Hoots.
No, it's exactly what they needed as well. When you have dominance like this and it starts so badly. But, we've seen scores like this turn around. Even tonight, Justin, pretty much like, I don't think we actually saw, I believe it was Immunity, almost managed to come back. Unfortunately, just couldn't get it done. But Barcode's the one they clearly need to shut down. 17-1 right now he's on. So he's, kicked off another spree after that death we saw him take before. And a triple kill with that ridiculous no-scope there on B. We didn't see it from his perspective, unfortunately. But trust me, it happened as we saw whoever that was that he took out just get absolutely deleted from the server. And just look at the amount of movement he's just looking around with now and zooming in, and he's just completely zoned in right now. He's in another level.
Yeah, and it's translating to the scoreboard. Have a look, a bit of quick maths. I think he's out slaying single-handedly everyone on Divine Mind.
14.
That's got it.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
No, by 1. He's 1 down.
Wow, he's just on another level. It's just ridiculous, and he does it with such confidence and ease, moving around the map. Chiefs now putting even more points on the board. They only need 20 more points to be able to put this one away. Divine Minds, they're really in a desperate situation now, but it does look like they're not giving up. They're trying to secure the C stronghold on the other side of the map. Are they going to be able to get it over the line, or is the Chiefs going to shut them down? Triple cap in effect, and I think that's going to be all she wrote. Ticking down, that scoreline just goes up so quick with the triple cap. It was 240, then it was 250 before I could even have time to breathe, Hoots.
And so with that, we have the Chiefs take out their 7th in a row. Barcode, unfortunately, had just 2 kills short of the entire Divine Mind squad. I just quickly checked the maths at the end, and I've had our tech staff in my ear tell me that we do have that last triple kill from Barcode on observer mode, so we'll be able to see that in the replay shortly. But Luke, how do you assess that? That was just absolutely bonkers.
I don't know how you're supposed to talk about these guys now, because we've talked about everything about them so far. I thought this grand final was going to be a bit of a spicy one. We had our first map go the way of Divine Mind, and I was like, all right, boys, I'm starting to strap myself in. I was starting to get the energy drinks from out of the fridge. Maybe I was going to put on a coffee, because I thought maybe this might be the time that we see a full bracket reset. But the Chiefs, man, they just flip a switch. It's like these guys are like, no. We don't ever lose, ever. We're just going to get angry, and we're going to finish this one as quick as we possibly can. And Justin, like, the way they just put away Divine Mind, albeit outside of this last stronghold coming in from Barcode, these guys just seem to, as soon as it gets anywhere close to them potentially losing a series or even a map, like, these guys just turn it on and be able to put it onto a different level. And they've just looked so good across Halo Infinite so far that it is no surprise that they've gotten 7 in a row, but 7 tournaments in a row.
Yeah,
come on.
That's the thing. Not like one day where, 2 of the players were like too sick to play or anything like that. Like Barcode, he had COVID. He could barely speak. And he was still, by COVID, dropping massive 30 bombs in those series. And there's just nothing that can stop these guys from doing what they want to do. And, you stay objective when you're trying to put on an entertaining cast, but when Barcode comes in and he's dropping the same amount of kills as the entire other team, and the other team's the second best team in the region, what else do you say other than it's a slaughter? And it's, all Barcode all day.
Yeah, it's absolutely nutty. It feels like every time we get into Grand Final, Barcode is like kind of quiet to his own standards throughout a lot of these series.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to use both my slums this game, boys.
That's so disgusting what this guy can do in Halo Infinite. And it, like, as we said, like, it feels like every time that he gets in a grand final, he just steps it up. It's like he's just like one of these big game players for the Chiefs, and every single time that he starts to fire on all these cylinders, he just puts up disgusting numbers against the second best team in our region, by the way. It's not like they're playing against the 20th seed in some open bracket game. This is a grand final that we've seen an infinite amount of times so far across our tournaments, and they do this time and time again, lads. And I think it's just ridiculous that they've been able to make this dynasty so far, Hoots, that even looking forward, I think if you span across a lot of ANZ esports in the current era and probably the last 5 or 6 years, I don't think you'd be able to find me a team that's been more dominant than the Chiefs have been so far in Halo Infinite.
I mean, I've seen teams, dominate Halo at certain points before, but the Chiefs are absolutely doing that right now. But on all those teams, no matter how good they were, there's never been an individual player who's dominated games like Barcode has. So no matter when Immunity were at their peak or anything like that, there was never a player, like there was Voltage or Benno was never dominating to a level that Barcode is doing now in tournaments against, you know, as you said before, like the second best team in the country. It's just, it's on another level. And the question has to be asked, like at what point does, you know, he and the team consider a more permanent push over to NA to potentially start to get more practice, because from just raw skill, they've clearly got it. And, you know, we're under no illusions here that the NA scene at the top level is higher than ANZ. Like, I don't want to try and claim that at all, but to get them over there and get them exposed to these kind of top teams can do them a world of good, and who knows how high they could go.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely nuts what these guys have been able to do so far, and I think even looking forward towards the Kansas major that we've got coming up in a couple of months' time, like these guys stick together and improve across Halo Infinite, I'm sure they can do some big damage there across in the States. But lads, it is enough talk from us. Let's start to hear from our champion. We do have Madzi on the line, so let's bring him in. Let's have a yarn to the Shark. Madzi, mate, it's good to have you back here on the caster desk one more time. 7 championships in a row for the Chiefs. Absolutely gnarly performance from you guys so far in Infinite. I think we've asked you guys literally every question underneath the sun. So I'm going to ask you something looking forward a little bit into the future. There's going to be a month break between the end of Pro Series 4 and the qualifiers for the ANZ Super. So what's the kind of plan for the Chiefs now in this 1 month downtime? Like, how are you guys going to keep hot? How are you guys going to keep in competitive form?
Just keep doing what we're doing, like scrimming, going over stuff. Nothing too much different, just, you know, make sure we're on par, like individually, and with that teamwork, yeah, just make sure we're on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine, we've seen a couple times where you guys have maybe, you know, lost a, well, we've seen it once when you guys lost a series and you came out super angry after that and just dominated Divine Mind a couple of tournaments ago. And then we saw, you know, Divine Mind take his first match of this series, and then you guys just came out and pretty much stomped them everything after that. Is that something that you guys actually are aware of? Like, do you get super angry when you lose and it just motivates you to go harder and harder in the following games?
Yeah, I don't know, definitely that series we came out pretty flat, same as the series before versus Demons. Props to those guys, they were playing really well. But yeah, I don't know, it's probably just, yeah, we sort of get that taste of the loss, and then we just don't want to lose anymore, and yeah, make sure we don't, obviously.
Now, Madzi, something like, you guys are obviously very, very dominant, right? And we're seeing a lot of teams with some underdog stories throughout tonight. What would you say to these lower teams as sort of up and comers if they want to get up to your level? What's something that you what nugget of wisdom that you'd pass down, so to speak?
Just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep your grind up. Keep playing as much as you can. Like, yeah, we had some close games with the Demon team. They played incredibly well. But I don't know, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep grinding. Never give up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty insane, you know, kind of bits of tidbits coming in from Madzi here. So I've got one final question before I do let you go here, Madzi. Obviously, right now, we're talking about what you guys can do over across internationally and even North America. Do you guys kind of look towards a lot of these NA Pro teams, even in the NA Pro Series? Do you guys kind of try and emulate maybe a specific pro team over in North America, or is it something you guys are really focusing on, trying to emulate some of those big North American teams?
Yeah, definitely before the Kansas event, we're going to analyze the North American teams a lot more, because they're obviously just way ahead teamwork-wise. But yeah, I don't know, just I need to watch like what they do and just try and do what they do, but better. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly does here, and I think if you guys are able to emulate anything from those North American guys, you guys will certainly be able to do some big damage over there, and I hope we might be able to crack into a top 8 here for ANZ. So Madzi, congratulations once again on another tournament victory. 7 in a row, absolutely insane from you guys, so enjoy the spoils with the team, and good luck for the Super as well when you see you guys there.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Cheers.
See you, Mads.
Well done, man.
At this point, we've interviewed these guys an infinite amount of times. It's been so many times that we've had every single player from the Chiefs come into our winners interview, and we have a yarn to them every single time. It just feels like these guys are super motivated and hungry, and I think Madzi really kind of put it, brilliantly, the fact that they get the taste of the loss and they don't ever want to lose again. And that's the kind of hunger that, you know, being a team that has won so many times, it's good to see that those guys still have that hunger not to lose and continue to win here in ANZ.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. I mean, we have pretty much spoken to all of them now and asked all the questions we can ask. I mean, I don't know what's next. Maybe we get their parents on stream or something and just ask them questions because we've done the whole squad. Let's get into the families or something. Change it up a little.
Yeah, maybe we can get some pets or something like that rolled around. We can get some interesting interviews going in. But who knows? You know, maybe the Chiefs might not be dominant coming out of the Super. Who knows? Certainly, ANZ is starting to level up here. So lads, let's have a little bit of a recap of today here with the bracket. It has been a wild day for us in this Pro Series. I feel like, Justin, every single time that we sit down for this Pro Series, like, all right, guys, we kind of know what's going on. We know where these bracket is going to end up. And then it gets flipped on its head and we don't know what the bloody hell's going on by the end of it tonight. And I think Demons have certainly shown us today that anything is possible if you're able to stick together and work it out. And even Madsy said in the interview, these guys played extremely well today. And I think they are very, very close to being able to crack into some more consistent performances.
Yeah, and you know what? The craziest thing off the bat, you can see their immunity dropping to Death Ruptor fans. That's a big one because immunity is such a household name in ANZ. They're kind of synonymous with this region. I mean, interesting to see how they bounce back from that because they're hyper competitive guys. And if Voltage is back, he's back in a big way. Like he isn't just going to get in there casually. It's just not in his mindset because he's a competitive guy. So it'll be cool to see how they respond next tournament. If they're going to be scrimming harder and they're going to, hey boys, my pride cannot take losing tournaments like this. We need to step things up.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, kind of coming out of this Pro Series that we're not going into Pro Series number 5 straight away. It's going to be a little bit of time before we get into that. So the fact that it wasn't a top 4 finish for Immunity guys right now was more kind of a test for them with this brand new roster. But looking across at the Direwolves here, Hoots, you know, being able to get themselves into another top 4. I'm excited to see what those guys can do with a little bit more practice under the belt, see if they get that little bit of extra consistency. Because I think, to me, they've certainly been a team that we haven't been able to highlight all too much in Pro Series, but they've been a consistent enough squad to be able to get in these top 8s and now be able to get into a couple of top 4s. I think they can certainly start to challenge to the belt very, very soon.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't get to see them on the show tonight. Yeah, we did see a lot of them early on, actually, in the last couple of tournaments. But you know, they've just got a roster of you know, sort of veterans, and so you know they've got the experience to be able to get these top placings. But yeah, just a little bit disappointing to not see them go a little bit further today. But you know, they'll still be pleased with their efforts, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, before we start to close out this show, ladies and gentlemen, we have to start talking about the Super. It's been something we've talked about for the entirety of Pro Season. It's what these teams have been working towards. So the Super is going to be our next event that we're going to be having here in ANZ on the HCS roadmap all the way to Worlds. So we're going to have 4 teams that get invited to the ANZ Super from the previous major or the Super qualifier. So that's going to be most likely based on maybe some HCS points or, you know, maybe some performances going into that. So we're going to have 4 invited teams. We're going to have 4 teams who are going to come through these Super qualifiers, and then we're going to have an open qualifier where you guys at home can join in on the action, see if you can get yourself into the Super. And that means we've got 10 teams who are going to be playing out for the Super here, Justin, and that's where we're going to have 3 days of back-to-back Halo action where we get to sit down, we get to see the best in ANZ, play it out in some pool play, and then go into a championship bracket for, let's just say it for everybody in the back, a 50,000 USD prize pool. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 50,000 American dollars are going to be up for grabs there at the HCS Super for ANZ. I'm excited. I'm sure the teams at home are excited, Justin. Are you as excited as I am?
Mate, that's a lot of cheddar.
Yeah.
Particularly for this region. So that cash injection will surely be appreciated. But I like this format, like having that open bracket, able to the opportunity for a couple of teams to fight their way through. And those open tournaments are always so interesting, right? Because you see Chiefs and Divine Mind, and you know they always come out first, second, rah, 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 everything that's happened. But you take those teams out, and then all of a sudden, there's this big shake-up, and you have so many interesting games with those mid-tier teams. And, you know, sometimes they're a little bit more scrappy, but they're fun to watch when it's scrappy. And it's like, what are they doing? What is this play? Why are they running this flag this way? And it's like, oh my God, what's he doing with that? It can get crazy, right? So I really enjoy the open tournaments, and it's a good opportunity to make a name for yourself. You fight your way through the open bracket and get into the Super or the Pro League, you can make a name for yourself.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we've seen it across so many teams that we've had so far. You know, Xavier's been one of those players. Lucas has been someone that's started to crop up. You know, there's been a whole lot of these new players that have started to come through here, Hoots, and I think it's been a kind of beautiful development for us since the tail end of 2021, now coming into 2022, that we've seen some of these players start to make their name for themselves in Halo Infinite, and now moving into the Super, we've just got so much more to look forward to.
Yeah, like Rice and Scoob, chuck them in there as well. New players. I just quickly crunched the maths on that $50,000 US. That's 70,000 Aussie right now, so that's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
That is a lot of cash.
That is a lot for these guys to be playing for. And Justin, before we start heading off and saying goodnight to everybody at home, you got any final thoughts here to wrap up Pro Series?
I'm already thinking about what shirt we're going to coordinate next time, mate. That's what I'm thinking about.
Maybe we start to coordinate.
Shopping trip with the boys. That's what I'm thinking we do on the break.
Maybe that's some more content for you guys at home to start to consume. We're going to have some, some shopping trips with the boys. Everyone's going to start to get coordinated. Maybe we get the bald caps out for the Bald Brothers as well as we start getting ready for the Super. But
we need to have something in common, right?
Yeah.
It can't just be those guys. So, yeah.
We do.
And I ain't shaving my head.
Who knows? It is a little bit of a while away before we get into that Super, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, it's about a month until we do see those qualifiers kick off. So we've got a little bit of time to get our wardrobes in order. And you guys at home also have your lives to get in order so you can sit down and watch the entirety of the Super with us. It's going to be a little bit of time before we're back here for more ANZ Halo, but it's been a wonderful time for us here on the desk to bring you guys Pro Series. So I've been Fluke, and as always, stay safe. We'll see you guys for the next one.